Good morning. This is John. Today we're going to be working on the Angelic teaching level 4, and we're going to start right away with the session number 1. One main topic for this first session is all about stress. Okay, how do we handle stress? Many different things can happen, many different pressure from different sides. It might be your personal life being involved in your financials. It would be linked to your ability to connect to your gifts. It would be your stress linked to your emotions and you feeling connection with your client when you do your session, or the topic that you are related to, that you want to focus on. How does it play out? How to be able to let go of those different emotions, different stress events, and be able to commit to exactly the purpose of what you're supposed to be doing. I'm going to give you some tools today, beyond definitely the energy work, and of course tools that you're going to be able to use daily and in your daily life. That's definitely going to help you. Plus we're going to be doing some clearing on those different forms. All right, so first thing that I would recommend is about acknowledging that you've got stress, and that's something that's very important. Acknowledging that there is stress. How do you manifest this stress in your life? Well, you start to feel more irritable, you start sometimes to feel a little bit depressed, you start to maybe not see many people, many friends, or not feeling like going out, hanging out with other people, because you always have this thing in the back of your mind. It could be a debt that you can't pay, it could be something that you're not able to act on because it doesn't rely on you, it's not in your hands anymore. How do you handle that? You do understand that everything that I'm telling you right now, you can apply it as well in the spiritual world. There are many different things, many different factors that we would love to be able to manifest, to create, to shift, and sometimes we feel frustrated because we're not able to act on them, right? So what would it take for us to be able to be that amazing person and being able to deal with all those different things at the same time, and not having to emotionally be involved with the stress and being able to be right on doing the work that we're supposed to be doing? Okay, so first thing to do is, besides acknowledging those stress events, it's about writing them down on a piece of paper, taking them out of your mind, out of your emotions, out of your own reality, for them to be part of your outside world, right? We want to extract them from where you are. So the best thing to do is just find 5 minutes, you don't need more, 5 minutes, one piece of paper, white piece of paper, a pen, pencil, and 5 minutes of quiet time in a safe environment. And there you're going to just, at the start, give it a title to it. And obviously you're thinking of writing stress events, even problems or something like that. Find something more positive. I like to call them wonderful transformations, right? You're a healer, you're definitely changing things, you're manifesting things, so you do have to employ it in your words as well, and choosing carefully the sentences that you want to make, right? So I would state right away at the start, wonderful transformations. It's meant to be only one page, one-sided, right? So we're talking about bullet points here, and maybe maximum 8 to 10 different main subjects that you would like to put down, right? You start with either the name of the topic, it could be a person, it could be a project that you want to work on, and maybe 2-3 words just to describe what it is exactly that is linked to this person that you need to be taking care of. It could be, again, sub-bullet points. And from there, you just don't think. You just write all those things down. You don't even think about an order, a specific order. It's just whatever comes up first is the right thing to write down. Okay? Then, as soon as you reach the bottom of it, acknowledge the fact that your main transformation things that you need to be working on are written down. And then go slightly towards one or the other and identify one thing, one single thing that you could be doing right now that only relies on you in order to help that thing to get better. It could be making a phone call. It could be sending a positive vibration. It could be asking for help. It could be looking into finding another person to help you in that. Okay? It might be acknowledging that you will need to learn stuff in order to get better at it. Okay? And you're going to do this for each single of your bullet points, for the main things, for the main topics. As soon as you're going to do that, I'd like you to take your calendar and use on your phone the reminders and start implementing tasks to do and implement them through time, right? Call this person on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Go to that place and ask for that information on that day at that time. And you've got your reminders. So that's done. You're part of the process and it's going to go smoothly and then it is going to get better. All right? So now, has we been helping you to find ways of sorting your different challenges in your life? You start to understand that it works the same way in energy work. It's about when you're facing one challenge, it might be one person coming and having a lot of emotions to deal with, and obviously they're going to project that on you, and you will have to stay calm, remain calm on that circumstances. Plus, still helping this person. You'll have to be very committed to what you're supposed to be doing and not let your emotions get into it, because that would create consequences. Obviously, people are not going to judge you on how they came to you or the acts that they've been doing. They're going to only consider how you reacted to all of that and what you said, what you didn't say, what you've done, how you transform those different events, right? So, see, I'd like you to understand the parallel between the daily life and this spiritual work that you're doing. Most people say, oh, he's doing energy work. No. There are heaps of different parameters, sub-parameters, and sub-sub-parameters. As soon as you're going to be able to identify those different things, it is going to get better. See, for example, the words that we use, how we transfer our thoughts, our emotions to physical forms for them to be understood by the person in front of us. And then feeling again back this interaction from our input to their being and receiving this back and acknowledging it. See, it's not just like working on a piece of wood. It's alive. It's matter. Even the piece of wood, you have to play with the lines of the wood. You have to play with the humidity of it. with its shape, what it wants to become. So imagine about human person. I'd like you to start embracing all those different parameters. And again, bringing those different challenges involves as well that you're able to let go. And that's the most difficult part. Letting go. Letting go of controlling, right? It's easier when everything only relies on you. You make your own decisions, you're responsible for your acts. As soon as you step in these other realities, then you realize that you're only part of something bigger. You only can act within your reach. There's so many different parameters that you cannot do because you're not into it, because it's too hard to do. So how we make it happen? And what about this ball of energy sometime here, this stress? You can almost sense it, right? Because that's another thing. The more intuitive you get, the more you're going to be able to perceive your own challenges and your own stress events. So the same way you're going to be able to feel it on someone else, you're going to feel it on you. You know, this ball of energy just there and vibrating and almost like you don't even know what it's going to become. Is it going to get bigger or getting smaller with more density? Is it going to just stay and become more calm? How do you behave with that? How do you handle that? Well, first thing you have to consider is as your gift increase, your sensitivity increase, you're getting more and more aware of each single detail that is happening to you. So it doesn't mean that those events are getting stronger in your life. It just means that you're getting more sensitive to them. And that's a huge difference. All right? Now, don't let your thoughts, don't let your emotions get in the way. Focus on really what matters, on what really matters. All right. Another thing, always be resourceful. Always use the best of what you have. And you're going to understand it by creating the parallel between the physical world and the spiritual world. When you're facing and you open your fridge and you've got not much in it, you'll have to be resourceful. You'll have to invent something to do with what you have. Sometimes you've got the resources to either buy something extra or you have more time to go get something, or you've got people, neighbors that can help. And sometimes you're just faced with skipping a meal. How do you handle those different moments? What is the emotion that is created there? What comes out of it? Are you feeling put down because of that? Or are you getting any stronger? I'm not saying that you have to manifest those events in order for you to grow and to get stronger. I'm saying, what would it take for you to embrace those moments and to get the most out of it? Transform them in the best way possible. You've got only a quarter of gas in your tank for your car. What are you going to do with it? You don't know when is the next time you're going to be able to do something, next time you're going to be able to use it. So what do? Are you going to just not use it? Or are you going to use it by a short period of times? See, it's all about using your resources. When you're facing challenges into your spirit gifts, you can either give everything away and say, you know what, I'm not ready for it. Or you can say, well, I'll do the best with what I can. On that day, you might not have slept much. Maybe your kids woke you up during the night. Maybe you didn't eat enough. Maybe you're a little bit sick, you caught the flu or something. Maybe it's about you being not well centered because you've got too much stress in your life going on. Maybe it's you having difficulties to focus on one specific subject because you've got too many things in your mind. Or you've got challenges in your relationship or relationships, and then it affects your emotions and your stability to be. See how those different factors influence who you are. There's so many ways in order to get better, to better ourselves. And the first step is to acknowledge all those changes. If you say, well, I don't bother thinking about this topic or focusing on it right now because I've got too many things to think of, how is this going to help you? How is this going to help you improve who you really are? I like to transform things. I like to manifest things. I like to see opportunities in periods of change. I'd like you to start to feel those opportunities, to feel those moments of change. Not only in your life, but also in other people's life. What would it take for you to be open to those change of frequencies and to be able to make that transition for one person, to help this person to come along? That means helping this person to identify the key things that needs to be tweaked. Hence the list. We start working on it at the beginning, right? Working as well with your own resources, with what you've got at that specific moment. Being positive and having faith. I could tell you hundreds of stories in order to help you with that. I feel the best way for you is to experience them. I'm not saying, John, I need to manifest. The next thing is to manifest a challenge for me to be able to go through and get better at it. Every single person has challenges at any moment in their life. Whether it is boredom because everything is so smooth in your life that you just don't know what to do. Either it's because it's too hectic and too many different things are bumping into your life all at once, all the time. Between one extreme to the other, obviously, many different patterns appear. Are we the center of those changes? Or are we the victim of them? What brings us to those different frequencies? And how those frequencies are able to stick with us? How long have those different moments been staying and being there with us in our life? Is it something that just happened, or is it something that's been there for like 20 years? We're talking here about a very important topic. The causes of what created dysfunction, what created challenge. Remember, I like to see the body as mainly with 100 different settings, main settings, and each of those settings are like buttons, and each of those buttons you can play with its frequency and in intensity. So for each of those buttons you've got two settings and you can just tweak them. What are the 4 or 5 settings that you're going to play with today on one individual person or one specific topic? How are you going to act on that in order to make it better? I've seen people doing the exact opposite thing. Not wanting something to happen and do everything they can in order to not make it happen. I know. Why would they do that? Usually because they felt hurt. And they want to hurt back. That's what happens. People who felt hurt are the most desperate people. They're screaming their pain in many different ways. Sometimes it's by hurting themselves, sometimes it's by being by themselves and hiding. Sometimes it's by hurting others. I'd like you to start identify patterns. Patterns of people that you help, people that you can rely on, people that you put them as mentors, people who enlighten your life, people who bring joy into your life. I know. It's all about working on ourselves all the time, like constantly. I could show you pages and pages of things that I put down, that I write down. So many different tools that I use simultaneously, going back from one to another. See, that's another thing. Most people consider that as soon as you get out of school, you just have to work. People consider that whoever you are still this person all your life. What if you consider that the most important person that you need to be working on is yourself? Improving who you are in so many different ways. With joy, with self-confidence, with faith. What are the top 3 things that you would like to improve right now in your life? And it be applied as well for your client. What are the 3 things that you would like to see improving in your life? And how you could do something about it in order to get closer to that. I could take the example of countries being able to rise from scratch within 40, 50 years, planning things. I could be talking to you about different other ways of just trusting that everything will come through. See, there are so many different ways of accessing to who you really are and what you're supposed to be doing. I feel that sometimes it's all about acknowledging the tools that we've got, all the tools, and again, play with the intensity. Sometimes just having a peak of activity on one specific field make things better. Maybe it's like 2-3 days of work on one specific topic that will change your life for the rest of your life. Maybe it's all about sending information for an application and that opens up new opportunities for you in your life. What would it take for you to be able to do that? Come back to the same point. Defining what we're supposed to be doing in our life and how we can implement that. That brings us to our own beliefs. Who are we? What are we supposed to do? Why are we doing this? I remember having those thoughts when I was already 6. I remember being a kid and always asking, why are we on earth? Why is it that we're so many? What's the point of living if we're not accomplishing? Our own accomplishment defines itself in what we like, in what we love. That's an important sentence. Whatever you feel that makes you happy, makes you full, then you're going to put a lot of focus into it. So again, it brings us back to square one. What are your values? What do you cherish? What's the things that you would like to see and that are very important to you right now? Hence, being able to help someone. You cannot help one person if it's not part of their plan. That means you have to help this person to define what they want. And at the same time, not being too pushy, not being too demanding. Waiting for one person to be able to be ready for something, for you to be able to move forward towards that. Wow, that takes a lot of skills, right? How many words a week do you learn? How many of those words do you use? Do you learn new sentences, expressions, ways of stating things in a better way? Are we just using the same simple words? I was talking to a client of mine in Hong Kong. She's a lawyer. She smiles all the time. And at the same time, she's got another skill of hers. When she talks about business, she uses very, very few words. And they are very, very precise. Imagine that. So she obviously understood that negotiating was going to be one of her strengths. The smiles opens up a lot of doors for her. And at the same time, she's very accurate in the words that she chooses. And she made a living out of that. Running a team and for a top 5 bank in Australia, working in Hong Kong. Running a team of in-house lawyers. Implementing IPOs. Now, how does this example fit in your life? I want to tell you that it's not about the work that we do. It's about the intensity that we put into it. It's about believing in what we do. When you create a field of energy, it's not just about the making of it. It's about the intention that you put into it, the faith that you put into it. Does this faith come from your ego? Does it come from unconditional love? Does it come from your soul? Does it come from your higher purpose? By then, you should be able to feel the different frequencies of each of them. Is it a blend of several? Does this field own as well your own signature, your own energy, making it unique? See? Reaching that level of level 4, it's all about putting your soul into something. Yeah. Putting your soul into it. I feel that's what defines this level 4. We're going to be working on that. How to involve your soul into every single act that you do. You realize that by going through those different teachings, it is not just about learning techniques. It's how to become more you. How to be able to be the purest person, the purest soul of you, in order to find that. And to be able to express it in the best way possible. As soon as you embrace that, magic happens. True magic. can manifest amazing things. And those realities at one point are going to blend. And they're going to blend in such ways that you're going to be blown away. And they usually appear through details. For example, that's a personal thing. I happen to wish to learn more about music. I was facing difficulties, challenges, in order to find the right tools in order to learn that. And I was discovering iTunes, and still it didn't quite match. And at one point I heard someone talking to me about Spotify. And it came to me twice as a thought. Plus another client of mine told me about it. Then, on the day I opened an account on Spotify and discovered that you could have for free a 30-day membership or a premium membership. When I opened my window, on the parking slot in front of my window, there was this truck parked there with bomb painted Spotify in like 3 meters, 2.5 meters long. How is that possible? Those are details, and the way you are able to embrace those signs, the better they come towards you. I just laughed when I saw that. I said, wow, another way of manifesting things. Another example. I was on the bus after work. Difficult day. Lots of different things to handle. Several people who really need help. And I was on my way on the bus from Balmain, and suddenly I see one woman who's taking care of 2 dogs, handling them on the leash. Amazing animals. And they suddenly appear as highlighting. I see aura around them, gold aura. Those 2 dogs were Dalmatians. It's kind of rare to see them in the main city, in Sydney. And I've never seen the Dalmatians there in Sydney before. I acknowledged it. Remember, acknowledged it, right? You've got a vision and then you acknowledge it. So keep going towards Sydney, and then I take another, brings me to another train, and I'm back in Central, heading for my second train. To go back home I have to take 1 bus and 2 trains. And then in the halls of Central I see a man walking, this time 3 dogs. And guess what brand we're talking about? What breed are we talking about? Dalmatians. 3 Dalmatians this time. And that's a man, before it was a woman, and this time it's 3, before it was 2. Of course I noticed that. I acknowledged it. Notice it, acknowledge it. And then I open up to feel the meaning of it. See? It's all about opening up. Came up that 2 and 3 makes 23. So I just Googled 23 angel number, and it says that all challenges will get better. Funny, huh? It creates the loop. I love those stories. Wish you an amazing day. Talk to you soon.